Can I just say one thing firstly? I love the name Eat Sleep Boxing Repeat.
Welcome back to ESBR Boxing's YouTube channel in partnership with sharpbetting.co.uk, your home of betting tips and analysis, not just for boxing, but other sports like football and horse racing and plenty more too. So please do check them out using the description in this video. Niall, Ra, you're joining me for this big fight breakdown for Naoya Inoue's next fight against Ramon Cardenas. T-Mobile Arena in Vegas. He's not fighting in Tokyo this time. On Sunday, May the 4th. Again, undisputed super bantamweight title action. It's a fight that anytime Inoue fights, no matter the opponent, I suppose you kind of do get excited just because of how big a star he is. As I mentioned, he's back in America. He has fought in America before, but a long time ago. As far less of a star. He's now one of the faces of boxing, so to speak, fighting back in America here for the first time in years. So, is this him trying to sell him to the US audience before some maybe massive fights at the back end of the year and into the next 12 to 18 months as well? Who knows? But yeah, he's fighting Cardenas. It's a fight that we maybe didn't want to see. There are other fights a super bantamweight we wanted for Inoue, but that's for another video. We are here for the Cardenas fight, so we may as well get into it. Ra, coming to you first, mate. I'm gonna ask you if both a few questions before giving our predictions, and the first of that is when you look at Naoya Inoue's last three opponents, that being Lewis Neary, TJ Dehaney, and Yi Kim. Where do you rank Cardenas in terms of them? Do you think he's the most toughest opponent for the new era of those, kind of middle of the road, or do you believe that this could well be actually a far easier night's work for Inoue than his previous three fights?
And Cardenas is decent if you look at his record. He's beaten some decent contenders, no one proven world level. Because of that, I'd put him behind people like Neri and Dehaney because they're proven at world level at least. Um, he's better than Kim though. Yeah, my understanding was the Mexican Picasso turned down the opportunity. So no, I will recall I've been on Inoue's case for the past year. He's another elite fighter that I think's somewhat lost his edge. Maybe he saw my prediction video that I did with you where I predicted he'd lose last year. Maybe that's why he's choosing this level of opponents. I don't know. But I can't hate on Cardenas. I mean, he is decent. I think he's ranked number two. Um, but yeah, he is pretty much a run-of-the-mill contender. Um, so yeah, I would put him behind Neri and Tahani, which obviously doesn't bode well for how competitive the fight will be.
Yeah, I think that's a few fair points from yourself there, Ra. Niall, do you agree with Ra? Do you have him above Kim, but maybe behind Neary and Dehaney? Or is it just kind of like all on a par? You're kind of underwhelmed again. And with I know a few people have been saying that of recently. There's no criticism of Inoue, he's beaten who's put in front of him, but in terms of opponent and kind of jeopardy in the fight, there's maybe not so much. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's I always find it's a very tough one when we're talking about Inoue and his opponents. It is underwhelming, another underwhelming pick, but that's only because he set the bar so high for himself. He's just on a planet on his own, in terms of kind of well all round, ability and power and things like that. But I do agree with Ra in terms of Cardenas. I think he's a decent fighter. I think he is a capable fighter. He has beaten some good names. He's on a big winning streak since his last loss, so he's coming in with confidence. He's beaten a couple of unbeaten fighters, but no, obviously nobody on the level of Naoya anyway. Nobody's been in the ring with people at the level of Naoya anyway, unless you've lost to him. So I do think he's a good fighter. Um, no match for anyway, but yeah, no spoilers there, and I think predictions. But yeah, as Ras said, TJ Dehaney, Lewis Neary, proven world level fighters, so you'd have to kind of put him just behind them, and I do think he is better than Kim. But yeah, it's always a tough one because he is a good fighter, but not who we wanted anyway to fight. And just a quick one, kind of deviating slightly off topic, but I'm just very interested to see how many tickets this sells in the T-Mobile. I was very surprised that this is in the T-Mobile Arena. We did fight in America before, much smaller venue, I believe. And now he's in the big arena, the T-Mobile, and not against a huge name either. So yeah, fascinating to see how this does kind of from a ticket point of view more so than anything else really.
Yeah, that is a good point. Yeah, I hadn't really thought much about that, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, maybe he is a bigger star in America than we perhaps think, but yeah, well, time will tell. Time will tell. Following up from that, Niall, going back to you, we mentioned there that maybe an underwhelming opponent again for Inoue. Tying in with that, are you don't want to be too harsh or here at all, or kind of too blunt, but to a certain degree, are you almost losing interest in Inoue now, or is that unfair?
I think for kind of a more kind of hardcore fan base like ourselves, it is very unfair. I think, as you touched on at the start of the video, you can't help but get excited no matter who Inoue fights. It's just such a phenom and so exciting. So I'm not losing interest in that regard. And also, although it has been a quite underwhelming performance now, anyway, is the type of fighter who is going to fight these big fights eventually. He has in the past, obviously, he's gone undisputed in a couple of weight divisions now, like, and he's fought the best of the best. Um, and even with this one, I know myself and yourself, Paul, reacted to it in that it looks like there's a deal in place to fight Akhmadaliev in September, who a lot of people think is his biggest threat left at super bantamweight. I don't see it, but that's a video for another day if he gets past Cardenas. But he is likely going to fight MJ Akhmadaliev, so you can't. He's not the type of fighter who we have seen, build a career of kind of cherry picking these type of names and kind of cleverly plotting his way to world titles just to call himself a world champion. He will go through the weights. He will fight the best along the way, and yeah, that's what kind of keeps me interested as well. Knowing that the big fights will definitely come.
Yep, some very valid points there, mate. Very, very interesting. What about you, Ra? Are you in agreement with Niall there? Maybe is it harsh to say that you're losing interest, or are you kind of not fully aboard the Inoue train?
No, it's not harsh at all. I was starting to lose interest from the moment the Taheni fight was announced. And also, I don't think it's harsh to have that opinion because I'm quite critical of elite fighters like Inoue and Canelo, for that matter, who sort of go on this sort of looking for a few easy nights' work, not because they're not any good, it's because they are that good. I hold them to a much higher standard. When you're the undisputed champ, and more importantly, when you're an undisputed champ with that much sort of financial sway, you can make those fights happen pretty easily because as undisputed champ for all the other contenders, there's nowhere else to go, and so you can pretty much dictate to them. I would have liked to have seen him once he was crowned undisputed champ, just tell all the other contenders, all right, all four of you, all four governing bodies contenders, all of you be on standby. You're going to fight on the dates I say. I'm the undisputed champ and I'm the only game in town for a payday. All of you be on standby. That's why when well, I can't remember who was it that Kim replaced. Was it Goodman?
Goodman. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, for a start, people like Goodman dropping from the rankings. The man's not serious. But situations like that, I would have liked them to have told MJ, maybe a couple of months in advance, be on standby. You want this fight in December. If there's a pullout, you're in. Or the next one, you're in. That's what I expect an undisputed champ to do. But like Canelo, I think he's decided he wants a few easy nights work. Um, so yeah, of course I'm still going to watch it because given the the name and the opportunity to see a great knockout, of course I'll watch it. But as you know, as hardcore fans, we watch a lot of duff fights as well. But no, not happy with Inoue's choice of opponents since Neri. That's three in a row that I'm unimpressed with. But like I said, mitigating circumstances. Picasso, the WBC mandatory, didn't want to take it. So I hope he goes the way of Goodman and is disappeared for some time.
Interesting. Some strong words, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people do agree with you though. Ra, for sure, for sure. Just before we come to our predictions, guys, one more thing I wanted to ask you about Inoue is kind of where his ceiling's at. So going back to yourself, Ra, so currently he's obviously undisputed here at Super Bantam. Talk of people wanting him to go up to feather, whether that's the Nick Ball fight or any of the other champions. Do you see featherweight being a realistic category in which he can win a world title? Do you think he could even go up to super feather, or is that bordering on ridiculous when you look at the size of some of them? Where do you see Naoya in his ceiling?
I think super feather is reasonable, but when you say ceiling, it doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be as dominant and convincing up at those weights. I think super bantamweight is probably the last division where we'll see him just so much way above all of his competition. I think at featherweight, he'll beat some of the world champions and might lose to some of them. I think featherweight's probably where his unbeaten record goes. But again, same up at super featherweight, a division above. If there's a sufficiently weak champion or a stylistically good matchup, he could win a belt or two there. But yeah, I think 122 pounds is the last one where we'll see him just run through everyone towards undisputed.
Interesting, interesting. Do you agree now, or do you think you could maybe go little bit even further?
Yeah, sorry, you just broke up there. Yeah, I agree. I do agree. I think he can win world titles at featherweight. There is some fascinating fights there, from the Nick Ball fight, the Espinosa fight with the size. And I think he beats Nick Ball. I really do think he beats Nick Ball. I think it could be quite brutal. There is other fights, so I do agree with Ryan that 122 was probably the last division in where he kind of massively overwhelms opponents. But I do think he can beat the likes of Angelo Leo, Nick Ball at featherweight. And you look at super featherweight, size could be an issue, but there is still champions there that I believe he could beat. O'Shaquie Foster, the likes of an O'Shaquie Foster. There's no reason why he couldn't, but I know it's a conversation that we might be getting a bit carried away with. But um, yeah, I think he can definitely reign at featherweight. Absolutely. Well, whether I think he already should have moved up to featherweight, to be honest, maybe 2 or 3 fights ago, after he did become undisputed super bantamweight champion. But when he does, I think he will have a lot of success there.
Yeah, very interesting, guys. Very, very interesting. I mean, it's fascinating. And hopefully he does move up and have maybe a little bit more jeopardy going forward. But prediction time, just rounding off, guys. Going back to yourself first now, and then Ra after. What is your prediction? We're all probably going to go for an Inoue victory. Probably all going to go for a knockout, I'm assuming, as well. But what? How do you see it going now?
Yeah, it's this is probably the most boring part of the video of an Inoue video, is that we all say the same. It is an Inoue knockout for me. As I say, Cardenas, very capable fighter. I think kind of his kind of aggressive style will kind of play into Inoue's hands more, and just for the sake of making it a little bit exciting and going a bit out there, I'm gonna say round one KO Inoue.
Nice, nice. He hasn't had a first round knockout in a while, has he, Anyway, so we'll see, we'll see. What about you, Ra? Are you going into a knockout as well? But how early we're going?
Yeah, I'm gonna go for a bit more boring. I think he will do his usual, maybe spend a couple of rounds just probing to see what Cardenas has got. I think Cardenas will be probably too brave for his own good, especially in front of probably a home crowd of sorts. I mean, he's from Texas, so I think he will want to put in a maximum effort there. I don't think he'll go out limply. So yeah, I think he'll give it a go for a few rounds before Inoue decides to go through the gears and get him out. I see him getting stopped in 6 rounds.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm making it another Anyway stoppage as well. I agree with both of you in the sense that I'm going first half of the fight. In terms of if I had to pick a single round, I'd probably go the fifth, maybe. I think I kind of agree with what you've said, Ra, there. I mean, not saying that he probably, in hindsight, he probably could have stopped his last few opponents even earlier than he did. Well, I would say he's kind of, well, what did we say, downloading the data and all that there, carry on, or is he just, he doesn't even throw, sometimes he does he even throw punches sometimes now for like 2 rounds? No, he doesn't really. It's just a bit out of head movement, a lot of kind of tap head movement. Before then unleashing, you know what I mean? There's times where he's not even throwing his backhand until we get to the third or fourth round. So yeah, I think it'll take a few rounds, but ultimately it's going to be one way, isn't it? It's going to be a monster KO. So I'll go round five. But yes, that's all we have time for, guys. Appreciate your thoughts on that fight as always, guys. Let us know in the comments your thoughts. How does this one go? Is it another routine in Inoue KO, or could we see some issues for him here, Cardenas? Also, all the other questions. What do you want to see him doing next in Inoue? Where is his ceiling? And are you even losing interest in the Japanese superstar? But that's all we have time for. Niall, Ra, it's been a pleasure as always, and I will speak to you again very soon.